NBA draft Wednesday night. It's now a two-day affair. The latest mock from Jonathan Givony and Jeremy Wu, Zachary Rizachet, and Alex Sarr, international players projected to go 1-2. Kentucky's Reed Shepard, the first college player projected off the board, number 3 to Houston. Stephon Castle from the national champions from UConn, number 4 to the Spurs, who have 2 of the top 8 picks in the draft. For more insight into the 2024 NBA draft, Jay Bilas joins me now. Jay, you know how much I love the college game, how much I watch it. We talk about it every year. It's one of my favorite things to do. I must admit, I am flying blind at the top of this draft because I frankly haven't seen these guys, and I just don't know exactly what they're going to bring to the table. So if we're right about who goes in 1, 2, in whatever order, what can you tell us about these prospects?
Well, Scotty, you're not alone in being a little bit confused about this year's draft, because I think a lot of NBA personnel feel the same way. There are a lot of good players in this draft, but it's not a headline marquee draft like we've had in the past. But that doesn't mean there aren't some really good players available. And I've said this to some friends of mine. You know, if Jalen Brunson were coming out of Villanova this year and Tyrese Halliburton were coming out of Iowa State, right, people would still say it's not a great draft. And those guys are all NBA-type players now. So there's value in this draft. But at the top of the draft, there are a couple of foreign players that seem to be going, 1 and 2 or 2 and 3, something like that. I don't think anybody really knows what the Atlanta Hawks are going to do at number 1. But in play are guys like Zachary Rizachet from France, who is 6'9", really long-armed, very talented player that is kind of a 3-and-D guy. Can really shoot it, can put it on the deck. He's good in transition. He's solid defensively. And then Alexander Sarr, he's a shot blocker and a rim runner, a guy that can step away and knock down a 3. He doesn't hit a high percentage of them yet, but he's shown the aptitude to be able to do that. And he's the type of player that could be an all-defensive player in the NBA. And then there are guys like Donovan Clingan from UConn that could be in play at number 1, because Atlanta needs rim protection. They were 25th in the league in protecting the rim, and he's a big-time shot blocker like Sarr is, and a very good rebounder that can anchor a defense. So there's some answers at number 1 and 2, but they don't seem to be consensus picks. So we could see some volatility at the top. Nobody really knows what's going to happen.
My guy Stanford Steve says, give me Clingan at 1. I know who he is. And I see there's some merit to that. And it's interesting, Jay, we're men of a certain age. We remember when if you were a big that could go on the block and do your thing, then you were going to go number 1. That's just how it went. And now there are questions for some about not as much Clingan, but a Zach Edey. It sounds like you think Clingan certainly projects at the next level. What's your sense of where Edey fits in the NBA?
I think Edey does fit in the NBA because he's so big and he's so dominant. And he's only been playing basketball for 6 years, and he gets better every single year. His mobility is improved. He moves his feet much better. His footwork is excellent in the post. And in the NBA, he's going to be allowed to be more physical than he was in college. I don't want to say every time he touched somebody it was a foul, but because of his size, he was more likely to pick up some fouls and had to be a little bit more careful. But he's a high-level rebounder. He finishes around the basket with both his left and his right hand. So you're right. I think 10, 15 years ago, we'd be talking about Zach Edey and Clingan as the 1 and 2 pick. But the game has changed a little bit. They're looking more for stretch bigs. But Edey has great value in this draft, and I think he will be gone in the lottery. He's a lottery pick in this year's draft. And Clingan's a top 5 pick, no question.
First round of the draft Wednesday on ESPN and ABC. It's a two-day affair, Thursday at 4. Jay Bilas kind enough to share some time. I appreciate you, man. Enjoy your summer, all right?
Thanks, brother. Great to be with you.